Well, thank you, Cam. Hey, as you can tell, Cam, he titled this webinar "How to Create a Battle Plan." What I like to call them a battle plan. That's for e-mini futures and just to create a battle plan for anything that you trade. And so quickly, I do want to start with the disclaimer. You always got to start with this, right? And everything, these trading ideas represent my own opinions and are intended to demonstrate my style of short-term trading. I am also no way representing that similar results will be achieved by following my ideas or anybody's ideas. And just quickly, trading Nadex binary options, Nadex spreads, trading anything can obviously involve substantial risk of loss, and it's not suitable for everybody. And you can lose all of your investment trading, right? I think we all know that, right? But and so just quickly, I just kind of wanted to share a little bit about myself. I know a lot. I can see a lot of names on here that I don't recognize, and so I want to share a little bit about myself. And so I grew up in a really small town in Kansas, Dodge City, Kansas, if you've ever heard of it. And now I met my wife in Kansas, and now I live in Twin Falls, Idaho with my wife. I'm a big time sports fan. I played 4 years of college basketball. I was kind of like a JJ Redick type, right? And but now retired basketball. Now my two biggest passions. My first biggest passion is golf. I am now in a avid golfer. I'm not very good yet, but if there's any golfers on here, I love golf. I love learning. And then obviously my other passion is the stock market. And so I've been trading the stock market now going on to my fifth year. Graduated college in 2011 with a bachelor's degree. And then I got in to start learning how the markets work. And of course, I went through what almost every trader goes through their first year and a half. I have absolutely paid my tuition into the markets. A lot of you probably know exactly what I mean by that, right? I've paid my tuition. Everybody goes through it, right? And I will say this, and when I first started trading, when I first started trading, I was one of those guys that like tried to watch everything. I tried to watch all like maybe 50 different stocks, every single forex pair, all the commodities. I was the one that I thought I needed to watch everything, and I really struggled. And now today, I basically only trade just a few instruments. I mean, I narrowed down onto just a one, two, three, maybe four charts that I follow. I basically only follow four charts, and I basically focus on the E-mini futures, the ES/ES futures, and of course the SPDR, the SPY ETF, and the IWM ETF. And so those are basically the only things that I trade. I basically just trade the S&P 500 and the Russell 2000 every single morning for the last 3 years. I've traded those charts. And I do come from a traditional options background, tasty trader. If there's any tasty traders, that's kind of where I got my start, learning about traditional options. And then I got introduced into Nadex options. And so traditional options, obviously, you're looking around 45 to 60 to 90-day trades, right? Whereas I was really drawn into Nadex is because it was a safe way to trade, to be a day trader, right? And so I never really got into trading traditional futures or traditional forex. It was just too difficult. And that's what drew me to options, is because I could limit my risk. I paid my risk going in, if that makes sense, if there's any option traders. And same thing with Nadex, is I pay my risk on every trade before, as soon as the trade is placed, my risk is paid. And so I have zero worries about that. And that's the complete opposite, right, from traditional futures or traditional forex. Obviously, you can set stop losses, but we all know how sometimes those can't and cannot get filled sometimes, right? And so about 3 years ago, I became obsessed with learning Nadex. And at the time, Nadex is still very new, and there was no good educators on the web yet for this platform over 3 years ago. And so I got obsessed with it, and I told myself, I was like, Sean, I told myself, if I get good at Nadex and finally learn how to stay profitable, I told myself that I'm going to do whatever I can to help others. And so that was a huge point for me. Is I remember what it was like being new. It's like a water hose, right? You Google everything you can, you learn everything you can. I remember what it was like to be new, trying to learn how to day trade, trying to learn this, Forex, all of this stuff. And so I made a commitment to myself that I wanted to get good and then I wanted to help other people. That's kind of my biggest passion, is helping others. And also one of my biggest passions is teaching newer people what I went through so they don't have to go through it, if that makes sense, right? And so, I mean, I literally struggled my first year and a half trading, and I learned a lot of great lessons. And now I teach those same lessons to other traders so they don't have to go through the same mistakes that I did. And so, from me learning Nadex, I then created binarytradegroup.com. And so I teach Nadex education and strategies community. And so I teach how to trade Nadex, and I teach, and then inside Nadex, and I know there might be some of you not familiar with it, but we just trade the S&P 500, the small cap, gold, crude, Forex. You just trade it in a little bit different way. You go to binarytradegroup.com and you click on Nadex Made Simple. I've made these videos, they're all free, and what I do is I go through and I teach. What I'm doing is I teach my wife how Nadex works. So my wife, who knows nothing about the stock market, who couldn't care less, right? And I thought it would be great so if you're kind of newer, kind of wondering what is up with this Nadex thing, um, videos, they're probably one of the most watched videos on YouTube. If you click on it, this one has almost 10,000 views. The intro to Nadex options has almost 10,000 views. And so if you're kind of newer to Nadex, I've made it extremely simple. I'm teaching my wife how it works, so you're going to really enjoy it. And she asks some really good questions. So I'm not going to go too much in detail of that, because if you're trading traditional Forex or traditional futures right now, or even traditional options, Nadex is going to blow your mind of the opportunities that you'll be able to do now. So I still trade traditional options every single day, but don't forget, right? Usually you're looking about 45 to 90-day trades. Whereas Nadex, you can use your same concepts for even hourly or daily trades. Get the same risk reward. Nadex is an amazing platform that if you're not on it, you're missing out on a ton of money, a ton of opportunity if you're not on Nadex. It's an amazing platform that very few people know that this even exists yet. And the more traders that come into Nadex, the better it's going to get. Okay, and so I'm going to go into, I want to highlight something. My YouTube channel, I'm very prominent out there on YouTube, and the title of today was how to create a daily battle plan or a daily trade plan. And so every single day, if you go here to my channel, just youtube.com/binary trade group, and then go to playlist and you go to daily trade plans. I've done more, but these are just the ones that are on YouTube. I have done 306 daily trade plans every single evening on the S&P 500 futures. I get a plan in place. I share this with all of my members every single evening. I give more. As you can see, I mean, these go all the way back to late 2014. These go all the way back to late 2014. And every single evening, it's anywhere from 8 to 15 minutes long of me giving you exactly what to do in the market the next day. Or honestly, this is one of the most important things that I also do. Not only do I tell you what to do, I tell you also what not to do. That's actually one of the most important things for somebody who's kind of newer in the market, is learning what not to do in the stock market, right? And so that's some of the things that I offer. Is you're getting somebody who's been doing this for 5 years, and then every single evening you can get a really good detailed analysis of what to do for your trading and what not to do, right? And so what I want to share quickly, what we're going to go into, is I wanted to share for today and kind of show you kind of the trades, some of the trades that I made, some of the trades that others made. But this trade plan was posted last night. And again, I do this every single evening. And if you're trading traditional futures, this will make complete sense to you. But I just quickly want to mention before I go into this, because one of the things about doing these types of webinars, as you can see, there's over 50 people on here. The toughest things is that there's everybody in here has different skills as far as where they're at in their trading knowledge, and so it's extremely difficult because you don't know exactly how to talk or how to dumb it down, or should I not dumb it down. So that's one of the probably the toughest things about doing these types of webinars. So I won't lie to you, I'm going to assume that you've been trading for a little bit, and I have multiple screens. So if you have questions, I can read them. I have multiple screens. So as I'm going through this, you can ask me questions, and I'll answer them for you. But I was prefacing that because I do teach everything for free. I have a massive amounts of free education on how to trade, how do the charts work, indicators. So everything that I have out there is all free, and they're really short videos, and so everything that I teach is absolutely free. And so last night I put out about a 10-minute trade plan for the S&P 500, and what I usually do every single evening, if you go around here to minute 353, is I usually almost always start. This is the slash ES. I almost always start on a 4-hour chart. I start every single evening on the 4-hour chart. Once I learned how to look at 4-hour charts, everything took off for me. I used to be that trader that only traded 5-minute charts, and I couldn't understand why the heck I kept losing so much. And the way that I like to say it is, when you're only trading 1-minute or 5-minute charts, or even if you're just trading getting into those smaller time frames is what I call that's what I call a worm's eye view of the market. And so when you're only looking at a worm's eye view of the market, it is extremely difficult to understand what a bird's eye view looks like. And so hopefully you can watch this. I'll post this so that you can watch this. But when I always start every single evening, I start with a bird's eye view of the market, and I get and I zoom out. I look at over a month. I look at the 4-hour charts, and I get a really good bias of what the 4-hour chart is doing. And I take all of my bias from the 4-hour chart, and then I dive into my 1-minute and 5-minute charts to time my entries. And I'll share an example of that to you here in just a second. But when we're looking at the 4-hour chart last night, I don't know if you've been trading the stock market the last couple of days, but we've had a pretty decent sell-off. The market has kind of sold off after coming off of monthly highs, and the market has sold off, and we're getting pretty extremely oversold. And so when you're looking at our 4-hour chart, last night in my plan, I'm circling and I'm telling everybody, hey, we're entering some pretty decent, what we call buying opportunities. This chart is extremely oversold, and we need to be looking to buy this chart tomorrow. And one of the things, as you can kind of see, we're extremely oversold, and we're hitting what I like to call reversal stars. Look, the candles are starting to reversal star, reversal star, reversal star. And then what I was saying is we need to be looking to look for, and this right here is is a Keltner channel. It's basically actually just a moving average. And the Keltner channel last night was the 2075. And so when I shared with everybody, I said, hey, we need to be looking to buy this chart tomorrow. And I first highlighted the 2075 as our first take profit level. 2075. This is where we need to take this chart, and we need to first take our profits right there. And if you watch the plan, I always tell people to write these numbers down. Every single evening, I make so many notes. It's insane. I got so many notes going on of different levels and all of this. And I'm getting a really, really good idea of different levels of the market from all different time frames. I can't stress how important it is to get multiple views of the market from multiple different time frames, starting from the weekly to the daily to the 4 hour to the 1 hour, and then so on. And so I was looking at our 4 hour chart last night. We needed to be looking to buy this chart today. And we were extremely oversold, and our first take profit level is the 2075. As you can see, I'm highlighting it there in the plan, and I told everybody to write it down. Now that we get that, so notice from last night, now that we know we're overbought, now that we know that we're pretty overbought, and we need to be looking for buying opportunities. And so now that I have a bird's eye view of the market, what I do now is I go into and look more of a worm's eye view. So if we go to minute 842, I gave a real, this is probably going to blow your mind, but I do this every single evening. And so this isn't anything new to me. I mean, if you traded today, hopefully watch this. If you traded today and lost money, please watch this, because you're going to be blown out of the water of what you didn't know, right? And so what I wanted to do today, here was the plan, okay? So this was from late last night in the Sydney session. So now that I have my bias of I want to be a buyer, now we need to dial in, and I'm going to share with you what all these plots mean here in just a second, and what the gray box means, and what all these other lines mean. But now that we know that we need to be a buyer, and 2075 is going to be our first take profit level. Now we need to know, how do we want to do this? Where do we want to enter? And then how do we want to make sure at the right time? And so one of the things that I do is I do a really, really good job. So check this out. Check this out. So what I said is price first needs to get up above and outside this box. It needs to get through settlement, and it needs to get through what I call Wednesday's POC and get outside the box. And then what I said is at first, and then it needs to retrace. So I wish I could zoom in on this, but then it needs to retrace, and we need to look for our buy right there on that box on the top there is called value area high. We need to get outside the box and then hold pullback right there at value area high. And once we look for our buying opportunities right there, we then have, again, the 2075 is coming from the 4-hour chart, right? And so we then have, look at me, I'm like, hey, 2075 is going to be our first take profit level. And you can even see me write the letters T, P, take profit right there. So see how I'm able to get, I'm starting from the 4-hour chart. I noticed that we're extremely over to be looking for buying opportunities. We're actually hitting monthly lows. And but now I go into my smaller time frames to know how to time my entries. And so this was my plan, right? We needed to come out. We needed to bust through this resistance. So notice that we had resistance right here, and then we had resistance right there. So I'm looking for a breakout and then hold pullback on value area high, and then we can run this up to 2075. And so let me kind of show you what happened today. We go over now to the worm's eye view on the 1-minute chart, and check this out. This is nuts. Okay. So price got outside of, price went up above, and then remember how we wanted to hold pullback on value area high? Look at this. The pullback held value area high literally to the tick. So I draw these boxes every single evening for all of my members, and then I share my charts with everybody. Value area high held to the tick, and then look where the bulls took this chart. to the tick to the 2075. And then that's where we found resistance today. And a lot of us ended up actually selling that after we got to the 2075. But a bunch of us in my trade room, we caught this buy trigger right off of value area high, just like we wanted to do in the plan, right? We wanted to get through, hold pullback. I know, and Oscar, I know it's lagging, so I am trying to go slow. But it is being recorded, so I'll post it as soon as we get done. And I know TradingPub is recording it as well. But notice we wanted to hold pullback at value area high. And one of the things that I teach is I show pictures of all of the ways to profit from the box. And so when price comes outside of value, you do want to be looking for your buying opportunities right here at value area high. And so you're going to learn this from and I teach everything for free. You're going to be able to learn exactly where to buy, where to sell, and how you can take advantage of ridiculously insane accurate support and resistance plots. I mean, again, I have 306 trade. Go back and watch, and I allow people to come and trade with me for free for 2 weeks to see just how nuts this is. And I guarantee you, I'm going to give you a completely different look of a completely different view of how to look at the market, and you're going to be pretty impressed. I'm not trying to brag, but I've been doing this a long time, and it's insanely accurate. And I can't stress how important this is to the night before, how to pre-plan your day, how to know exactly where to buy and how to know exactly where to take profit. And here's the deal. If this wouldn't have happened, no big deal. We move on, and the market's not going anywhere. I rarely ever take a trade that wasn't pre-planned the night before. Almost never. Almost never will I take a trade that wasn't pre-planned the night before. And I know a lot of people, especially in the beginning, it's just constant losing, right? And I'm sure if you're there right now, it's probably just constant losing. Trust me, I was there. Everybody's there, okay? And I guarantee you the number one reason you're losing is because you have no clue where to buy, where to sell, how to set your plans up. And the second I finally was like, screw this, I can't just wake up and then just say, oh, this looks good. Like I finally had to dial down, get disciplined, and set myself up for success the night before, right? And so that happened to the tick. A bunch of us got into this trade today, and then of course we had the FOMC announcement that came out at 2 p.m. Eastern. And so I basically, once we got this move, I did end up selling this chart as well. So a bunch of us, once we hit the 2075, a bunch of us right here, as you can see, ended up selling this. We sold the 2075 right there. You can kind of see how we were overbought. We were coming up into the 2075 resistance that was pre-planned the night before, and a bunch of us got into this sell trade right here. And then going into FOMC, I won't lie to you, I shut it down. I'm not the type of guy that comes at you and shows you all this amazing news trading. I rarely do news trading. I'd rather do at what time for the entry price and the time of the exit. So Tim, a lot of us got in literally right at about 9:07. So I can share with you a couple screenshots of some people. One of our traders got in like literally right at 9:07 was his entry time, and then he entered another one right at 9:26. I got in literally right around the exact same time. And so if you go to the 1 minute chart, you can kind of see why we entered at that time. 9:07. And so he entered a little early, and then I entered about right there about 9:20. So I waited for it to touch, and then I entered right there at the 9:20, and then I put my take profit right there about the 97.4.5. So when I usually almost go about either a half a point or a point before my targets get hit. So I start doing that. I take profits even before the targets get hit. But I enter all of my trades on the 1 minute chart. So I go to the 1 minute chart, I noticed that we to the tick value area high was holding. I got in literally about right there, and then I took that sucker to 2074 and a half. Multiple other people. This was another screenshot. He got in at 907, and then he added another contract at 926, and then he ended up taking profit up there as well. So I always enter, Tim, on a 1-minute chart. Everything that I do, I enter on a 1-minute chart. And just quickly, one of the cool things that I have on YouTube, and because this is probably the number one thing that people struggle with, is how to enter trades. And I struggled with it really, really bad, and now I think I'm actually pretty darn good at it. And so if you go to my channel and then you go to playlist, and if you go here to live Nexx trading, every single one of these videos is me entering a trade. I do it, what I look at, and then all of that. I have all of these videos of me trading live. So one of the biggest mistakes people make is their entry. They might be right on direction, but they just didn't understand how to properly enter the trade. And I have, 28 videos of me trading live. You literally live, right? Real money. And I share with you where I enter, how I took profit, why I'm entering. This one right here says how to effectively enter an at the money trade, and it's me trading live with my real money, how I entered, how much money I made, and all of that. And so one of the things that I think I'm really, really good at is I know exactly how to enter trades. And I've gotten really, really good at knowing how to understand how to enter on pullbacks. Just like my plan tonight for today, if you notice that my plan was to wait and enter on the pullback, right? And notice how we busted through, and then my plan was to enter on the pullback on value area high. And so I literally entered at the low of the and then my take profit was take that up to the 2075. And so I don't have anything to show for the FOMC at 2 o'clock. So the second we got those trades, I didn't trade the FOMC going into the end of the day. And so I usually don't trade the news, and there is a lot of opportunity to make money on news, but at the same time, there's a lot of opportunity to lose money just as quick. And so I would much rather trade the more predictable things. And kind of like what I said in my chat room today to my members is once we got the trades done, by 1 o'clock Eastern, I shut it down and I told everybody, let's just let the big guys do what they want to do, and then I'll be ready. So I'm always I usually trade. I'm not in the prediction business. I'm kind of more in the reaction business. So to be able to predict what the ES did today, as far as after the news announcement came out, I mean, I don't think there's no way to predict this, right? But the move happened, and now I'm ready to react. I'm now ready to react to it for tomorrow. And so before I go into tomorrow's trade plan, because I do have charts ready to go, and I'm going to show that, I'm going to share with you my plan for tomorrow. Before I go into that, does anybody have any questions about what happened on the chart today? And so I'm going to go ahead and load up tomorrow's charts, and I'll do kind of I'll share with you what my plan is for tomorrow, and I'll share with you my support and resistance plots, and kind of share with you a little bit about what all of these plots do and what they are. So I'll let this load up. I can see the screen too. I see that it is lagging just a little bit. And so like I mentioned, every single evening, I'm going to start here on the S&P 500 futures. I always start on the 4-hour chart. So I always start on the 4-hour chart, and because I want to see, this is what I call the bird's eye view. Let's take a bird's eye view of the market, and then we'll start and we'll write down some plots. We'll write down some important support and resistance from the 4-hour chart, and then we'll start dialing down Then we'll start moving to the smaller time frames. So when we look at our 4-hour chart, obviously there was our big sell-off that we had. And by the way, that sell-off, all that came was from daily candle resistance. Again, I trade this. I went super short this market. If you look at the daily chart, draw the price level about right around 2100 to 2110. And I mean, this sucker has been super strong lately. And so I've traded this every single day for the last 3 years. I've done really, really well trading the slash ES. It's been pretty simple. I mean, everything's been working great. And you can kind of see where this from for the last 3 or 4 days is we're just entering daily candle resistance, right? That 21.26 and a quarter is all-time highs. And then we had resistance here again, and then we had a little bit of resistance there. And then, of course, going into the end of the week, we got a beautiful candle sell trigger all the way back down. So if you're kind of wondering where all this weakness is coming from, can be a little fundamental as far as Brexit, FOMC, what have you. Honestly, I'm more of a technical trader. The weakness is just coming from the charts extremely overbought, and we're just entering areas of the chart where the bears right now have been holding really, really good resistance. And so a few days ago, last week, I went extremely short on this chart on traditional options and made quite a bit of money. And so it's not that difficult. I basically look at the daily chart, and the S&P 500 has been extremely range bound, and it's been a pretty easy chart to trade. And so now when we go to our 4-hour chart, now we're looking for day trading opportunities for tomorrow. And so when we look at our 4-hour chart, there was our daily candle buy trigger, right? As you can see from the plan. My plan, you can even remember seeing me circle it, and I was like, hey, take that to the middle blue Keltner. It worked pretty good, right? Our chart was extremely oversold. Sticks down here were extremely oversold. And they were all telling me like, Sean, buy, right? It was a pretty simple day. Before FOMC, it was a pretty simple day before 2 o'clock. A lot of us were in and out, call it a day. And so now going in for tomorrow, again, I always start on the 4-hour chart. And so when we look at this 4-hour chart, we're basically kind of right back to where we started last night. We're still a little bit oversold. And because of going into the close, the bears kind of took a huge move to the downside going into the close. And so we're basically kind of right back to where we started last night. And so as far as going lower, on the 4-hour chart, we don't have a lot of stuff. We do have some support, pretty decent support on the 2060-ish going lower. But most of our plots are going to be, hopefully we can try and get this chart going higher again tomorrow. Just like we did today. I mean, the plan is going to be almost the exact same. I'm going to be looking for bulls tomorrow. I want to be looking to buy this chart tomorrow. And when we go to the smaller time frames, I'm going to share with you some pretty good targets for you. Okay? And so if we look at this middle blue Keltner, it's a blue line. And if we look over here to the right, it's the 2073. So I'm going to write that number down, and I rarely trade like exact numbers. So I'm actually going to write down 72 to 74. It's just an area on the chart that I'm going to be looking for. 72 to 74 is going to be one of my plots from the 4-hour chart. And then all the way back up to the upside, if the bulls really get after it tomorrow, the other resistance, our next target from the 4-hour chart is going to be the 86 to 88. So I'm going to write that number down as well. So notice that if this chart continues going lower tomorrow, there's not going to be a ton to do. There's going to be some plots down there on the smaller time frames. But as far as our 4-hour chart goes, most of the money tomorrow is going to be made if we can get this chart going higher. And I'm going to share with you right now on how to do this. So now we take our bias. Our bias, obviously, in the bird's eye view, is we're oversold. We're kind of hindering areas. We're back down on areas of the charts where the bulls so far have been maintaining this level. And another fundamental thing is they did not raise rates. They don't really have plans to raise rates, which is bullish for the stock market, so for a longer term view. And so But the only thing that's kind of weighing down on the market right now is the Britain news, right? I don't follow it too closely. I just know that it's going on, and a lot of people are kind of making speculation of the Britain exit from the European Union. I have no clue exactly what that's going to mean for the futures, but I know heightened volatility in the stock market right now. So if you know what the VIX means, it shot up to a 3-month high yesterday, if you know what the VIX is. And a lot of it had to do because of the FOMC and Brexit, right? Again, you can kind of see how I just quickly look 4-hour chart. We're oversold. We need to be looking to try and buy tomorrow. I want to be looking for buy triggers, and I'm not going to blindly buy. I'm going to share with you how I do this. So now we go to our plot chart. This is what I call a plot chart, because now I have all of these really, really good support and resistance plots. Okay, here's the best thing about my charts that I think is the best thing, is that everything that I have, all of my plots for tomorrow, I'll share with you quickly here what these mean. I'm going to try and go fast. I don't want to go, I think we're going to try and go 45 minutes today. I'm going to try and go through this quick. And the reason I'm going to do videos, all this is free if you want to learn exactly how these all work. It'll blow your mind. Just trust me. Give me a chance. It'll blow your mind on how well this stuff works. But the beautiful thing that I love about my plots on my charts is it's all forward looking, if that makes sense at all. And so everything that I have on my charts is all forward looking. It's all based off of volume, and it's all based off of volatility. And so everything that I do is not necessarily looking, everything that you see here on the charts here is kind of more forward looking. It's not necessarily looking at past support and resistance. It's kind of looking towards the future based off of volatility and based off of volume. And so when we look at the /CS right now, this box right here, I draw this box every single evening. So going into tomorrow, and again, I have multiple screens, so please feel free to ask questions as I'm talking. But this box right here is what I call value, not what I call it, so this is what it's called. It's called volume profile. And so basically what this means is, what it does is it takes all of the volume for Wednesday's trading day, and it does, this is where most of the volume was. Between here and here is where most of the volume was. 70 to 80% of the volume was inside of this box on Wednesday. And so the reason that this works so well is that millions and millions of big time traders use this box. It's one of the reasons it works so well. So if you know what the millions of bigger traders are watching, obviously it's going to be to your advantage. The more things that the bigger traders are watching, the more things that it's going to work as far as a smaller retail trader. I want to see what the big guys are watching, right? And so that's what this box is. And then these lines right here, this stands for Wednesday's POC. And then this says Thursday's POC. POC stands for point of control. So what that means, as you can see, Thursday's POC. So this is going to be tomorrow's point of control. What that means is the 2073 on Wednesday, which was today, there was more volume as far as orders, buy orders or sell orders. There was more volume at 2073 today than any other price. Okay, hopefully that makes sense. There was more volume at 2073 today than any other price level. And so I plot that. If I know where all the orders are, the only reason a market exists is to fill orders. And so if you know where where all the orders are, these plots work amazingly well for targets, for support, and for resistance. It's because it's based off of where all of the volume orders are. And so this is tomorrow's POC, this Wednesday's POC, and so what that means is 2065.6 is where most of the volume was on Tuesday. So 2065.6, if you look at Tuesday's trading day, there was more volume at 2065.6 on Tuesday than any other level. And so I plot that as well. And so if I know where all of the volume, where most of the volume is on this chart, you can use that to your advantage. It works amazingly well on Here's just a quick example today. Let me show you a quick example today. Look at Tuesday's POC today was 2079. Look at where, let me go to a normal candle. Look at where the bulls took, as soon as FOMC came out, look where they went. They went to Tuesday's POC. There's a reason they went to Tuesday's POCs, because that's where a lot of volume is. The second it touched Tuesday's POC, a pretty decent sell trigger. And so you can use these POC lines as target, support, and resistance. They work, give me a chance to show you this every single day. It blows my mind sometimes on how simple this can really be. And so I like to use things, I like to use plots that are based off of volume. Now, these gray lines, this stands for settlement, which is 2063.2. So what that means is price settled today, price ended, the New York session ended at 2063.2. So I plot that line. And so once you know, you can use settlement as well for future trading tomorrow. And so settlement, obviously, it's exactly where the bulls and the bears finish the trading day. So you can use settlement for tomorrow as target, support, and resistance. And so it works extremely well. And then I take settlement and I use the volatility number for tomorrow, and I plot what I call deviation lines. And so for tomorrow, price, there's a 70% chance that price is going to stay, so you can kind of see this +1 deviation and then the -1 deviation. What these numbers represent is how far the market is expected to move tomorrow based off of volatility. And so if you know exactly how far a market is supposed to move tomorrow, that's a huge advantage, right? And so I take the +1 deviation and the -1 deviation. I then cut that in half, and I have the +0.5 deviation and then a -0.5 deviation. So again, these lines are based off of these lines are based off of future support and resistance, not past. We're using volatility now, which is an implied volatility number for future support and resistance. And these deviation lines will blow your mind on how well these work as well too. And so now that I've gotten really good plots for tomorrow, I can probably get a really good plan. And what I really like to do is I try and like looking at plots where multiple plots come together. And so I'm looking for areas of the charts that just like last night, where 2075 was kind of the important level last night, now I'm looking for tomorrow where some of the most important levels are for tomorrow. And so I'm going to go through this quick, and so we're about to wrap up. And the reason I'm going to go through this quick is because later tonight I'm going to record this and I'm going to post it, and you can get it for free. You can get my trade plans for free for 2 weeks, and that's why I'm going to go through this quick. But one of my biggest plans for tomorrow that I'm going to be looking for, obviously we just did analysis from the 4-hour chart, and so my plan for tomorrow is obviously I need to be looking for buy triggers to the upside. And so one of the first things that I'm going to be looking for is getting up above this Wednesday's POC. And then my first level for looking for potential resistance is value area low right here at it's basically the 2070. And the reason I want to be looking for resistance here is because look how many times 2070 held as support yesterday. And then we busted through that level going into the close. And so I'm going to be salivating if these bulls can run this chart back up to 2070, and then I can be looking for resistance right there at value area low. And so also, as you can see, from the training videos that I teach, is you can be looking for sell triggers right there at value area low. And so that's going to be one of my first, if you want to try and buy it and take profit, and then you can look for your sell triggers and resistance right there. And so see how I can kind of put my day, I'm already putting my day for tomorrow in context. I already have plots ready to go. I know for me to sell this chart, I need price to retrace right there, and I need to be looking for my sell triggers right there. Okay. I also, especially if we get through Wednesday's POC and hold pullback, I can look to buy right there and then put my take profit right there at value area low. So I have a really, really good plan so far to the upside for tomorrow. Everything's lining up. If I can get some bulls into this chart tomorrow, that's going to be really, really easy. And then quickly, I'll wrap up with this. The second thing to do tomorrow, and this is if the 4-hour chart really gets after it. So the number we wrote down on the 4-hour chart from the middle blue Keltner, I wrote down 72 to 74. So let's look at that real quick. Here's our 74 high right there. Okay, so that's also going to put me at Thursday's POC. So this, Tim, yeah, I think I don't know exactly what you're asking. Maybe rephrase that. But so now, let's say 2070 doesn't hold as resistance and we're not seeing our triggers. And we go ahead and get through this 2070. The second we get through 2070, and if we hold pullback right there, I am now a bull again. And I'm going to continue to look to continue to buy this chart with multiple targets to the upside. So I can look for buying opportunities right there at value area low. And then I got another take profit right there on Thursday's POC, sorry. You can remember what the POC was, right? There was more volume at 2073 today's trading, than any other level. So if we get through and hold pullback, so I want to enter on pullbacks, this is my first take profit. There's zero reason of why these bulls are not going to go and touch Thursday's POC, and then I can take profit right there. And then my final take profit is going to be all the way up here at value area high. And so here, let me show you something. It's probably the greatest trading strategy I have ever seen. And you can learn all of this from me for free. But if price comes outside of value and comes back inside the box and it holds pullback and you're hitting higher lows, there's an 80% chance. It's called the 80% rule. There's an 80% chance that price will go area high. So I have this information for tomorrow, that if our bulls want to get after it and they get back inside the box tomorrow and they're holding pullbacks, just like I shared with you, hold pullback, 80% chance we're running up there and we're going to go up and touch value area high tomorrow. So check this out. If price gets up and holds pullback, there's our first take profit, and then our final take profit is going to be complete that 80% rule to the upside. You can kind of see that right there on how that works. So as far as this chart going higher, I know exactly where I'm going to buy. I know exactly where I'm going to sell. I know exactly where I'm going to buy again. I know exactly where I'm going to take my profits. And so as far as this chart going higher, I have a really, really good plan if this chart goes higher tomorrow. And then as far as the chart going lower, I will record myself tonight and I will post my trade plan so that you can see this in more detail tonight. It'll be posted on YouTube, and it'll be emailed to you too if you want to get into my free trial. And so if you want to get these charts, trade with me for free, get trade plans every single evening, get the charts every single evening, all you need to do is go to binarytradegroup.com, go to the homepage, and then enter your information right here. And then for the next 2 weeks, for the next 10 trading days, I'll send you my plan, my charts, and I will add you into my private Facebook group as well. And you can ask me questions all day long. I'm literally here from 6 a.m. Eastern to 5 o'clock Eastern, trading this sucker by your side.
Nexx
all day
binary
long.
options.
So if you
Power
want to
up your
enter
trading
your information
and take a
you can trade
position.
with me for free for 2 weeks and just see if you learn anything good. And I promise you, just give me a chance. You're going to be blown away by how well this stuff works. And so Cam, I'll hand it over to you unless there's any questions.
Well, Sean, that was excellent. So, folks, for those people that have never listened to Sean before or are not familiar with him, I can tell you that I've been following his group for the past 2 years, and I'm getting an echo. Can anyone else hear an echo? How about now? Is that better? Okay. So I've been following Sean for a couple of years now, and a couple of observations that I've seen watching his group. First of all, almost religiously, I pull up his daily battle plan, and I do that for my own trading. And what I'm amazed with is the uncanny precision and accuracy that his battle plan actually results. The areas of support and the resistance that he draws, the value area box, and the various ways that the market responds to those various targets is almost to the tick deadly accurate every day. And people that follow his plan in his group, I mean, they remind themselves of the rules, they remind themselves of the battle plan, and those people that don't deviate from the plan feel pretty good at the end of the day. So he's got a great offer out there. It's a free 2-week membership into his group. If you trade the E-mini S&Ps, or if you're more curious about how to trade Nexx, which is what I trade, phenomenal resource. And what I'd like to do is kind of open up the floor to any final questions from the audience. Does anyone have any questions that either Sean can address or I can address? Okay, was this presentation valuable and did it make sense? Tim, yes. John, yes. Well, very good. Please take a time to jump on the Binary Trade Group. Go ahead and sign up with them, because honestly, I think you're going to get a very interesting look at the behavior of an analysis on the E-mini S&P 500 futures, the Russell 2000 futures, gold, crude oil, and NASDAQ. Sean does a great job of drawing out battle plans for the Russell, for the S&P 500 and the NASDAQ, but several of his other traders are also veterans in other places. So it's not uncommon for them to apply his methodology to, say, the pound dollar or one of the Forex pairs or whatever. And it's really good stuff. So, Sean, I want to thank you so much. You're headed off to the driving range. Hit them straight. And I want to thank everyone for showing up. I hope you guys had a great day trading, and thanks for staying at the TradingPub. This is Cam White.